All right, Bronx, we're gonna get you ready for your lab after your quiz on Wednesday or Thursday, A or B. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make pico de gallo. And the reason why we're making pico de gallo is again to practice our knife skills. But one knife skill in particular is really, really important that we are really, really proficient at in this course because we're gonna do it a lot. And it's also kind of a measure for like cooks. You know, one thing that we do in kitchens is we ask cooks who are applying to work to cut an onion just to see what their knife skills look like. And so that is what we are going to talk about today, is how to cut an onion. I know it sounds super simple, but you would be surprised at how often this one gets messed up. So it's very important that you are taking really good notes through this, do lots of pausing, and write down the steps because it matters. So onions grow in the ground like this. Okay, so they've got this little root end here, and this is the top part. This is the stem that kind of grows up out of the garden. And I'm actually right now processing my onions. I can show you. This is what I'm working on. Onions grow in the ground. Obviously, this is the ground part, and this is the part that comes up out of the garden. And if you put them side by side, you can kind of see how they kind of evolve. These are little onions that are never going to turn into big onions, so we're treating them like green onions. And here's the root of the big onion, here's the root of the green onion, here's the stem, and this is what this looked like growing up there. So the geography of an onion is so important. So it's very important that you recognize that there is a root and a stem. The geography is so important that I've made you a little onion globe. Okay, there's Africa, there's Antarctica, there's South America, there's Florida, there's Europe, okay? It's really, really important that you kind of don't ever lose track of where you are on the onion, because if you get off a little bit, then you end up having really unpleasant knife cuts. So the first thing we're gonna do is take our knife, and we're using our 10-inch chef's knife, and we're gonna hold our chef's knife by the blade, right? We're never doing this. We're never doing this. We are holding by the blade like this. The first thing we're going to do is cut off the North Pole. Sorry, polar bears, okay? We're gonna take the tip of our knife and just make a nice cut right through the top of the onion. Okay, remember when we leave our knives at rest, they're gonna go right across the top. Now, if we were making stock, we would reserve this little bit for stock, but for now, that's just gonna go to the chickens. But we did not take a whole lot off. It's pretty small. Okay, so now we have our onion with the Arctic gone, okay? The next cut we're gonna make is from the Arctic, the North Pole, to the South Pole, to the root, okay? We're gonna cut right through here, right through, I don't know, I guess we would call that the international date line, right? It's today here, it's tomorrow there. We're gonna make a cut right through here. Please, 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 do not cut through Panama and Hawaii, okay? We don't wanna go right through the middle or on the equator. We wanna go North Pole to South Pole, okay? The way we're gonna make that cut though is we're gonna make a bridge with our holder hand, and we are gonna cut right through the middle of that. So I'm gonna hold the onion like this, and the knife is gonna go right in the middle, and we're gonna cut right through the center of the root, or the Antarctic. Okay, right through the middle there. And now we have 2 pieces of onion, okay? So now, from here, it's really, really easy to peel the onion. If you try to peel an onion from this stage right here, super hard. It's gonna take you forever. It is miserable. It is really inefficient. It's the fastest and easiest way to peel an onion is when you have 2 halves, okay? So we'll just come around here. Now, if you're spending more than 30 seconds doing this step, you're going too shallow and you need to go a little bit deeper with your peeling. All right, so that's nice and clean. Take another layer if it's being really tricky to do. Okay, so we're gonna cut now 1/2 at a time, and we're gonna use about the first 4 inches of our knife to make these knife cuts. Again, I'm holding the knife properly, and what I'm gonna do is take my knife and I'm gonna make long cuts all the way across the onion, okay? I'm gonna go all the way through except for this root end. I'm gonna leave the onion connected. So watch what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go into my claw, I'm gonna use my pointer finger as my guide, and I'm gonna go, look what I'm doing. I'm not cutting all the way, but almost. I'd say my knife cut ends right about there, okay? And I'm gonna continue to do that all the way across. Okay, so I've made, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 9 or 10 cuts across my onion, and everybody's still intact, okay? And all I'm gonna do next is turn my onion kind of away from me, and then I'm gonna cut bop, 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 all the way back, okay? So here's how that looks. We're gonna go for a small dice. I'm gonna be in the claw, and we're just gonna kind of come back across, and this goes really quickly and really consistently. That's the thing. Speed will come. This should not be fast. This should be slow and intentional until you get really good at it. And then you can work on speed. We want to focus on technique for right now. So as you're working your way across, sometimes you get these little bits that are not kind of getting in with the others. So we're just going to come back and catch up there and continue across our onion. And then as you get closer to the root, you kind of get this big kind of awkward piece here. We don't ever want to waste that. Come back, kind of cut around that. This part's a little bit, it's not quite as precise, but it's pretty good. We're just going to trim all that. We don't want to have any waste. All right, so I'm going to put that in the scrap bowl, and then I'm going to go look at my work. Now, if you go through here, you kind of need to break things apart, but you can see that if I had to break these apart, they're kind of sticking together a little bit. We've got really nice, consistent cuts. Okay? Okay, so there is our small dice onion. You can go through and break it up. And we're going to add that to our pico. All right, let me show you the other half very quickly. Okay. Now, I did this intentionally so that you can see sometimes your aim is a little bit off and you kind of lose some of your root. That's okay. We're going to do the same thing. Make our cuts across, not all the way through. It's a lot easier when the root's intact, but I wanted to show you this so that you don't worry if it does happen to you. So we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take the tip of our knife and go almost all the way to the end. Not quite. Okay, these are still intact. This is a very juicy onion, and if you could see me right now, I'm like sobbing. Okay, and then we're gonna turn our onion and come back across the other way. We are not working for anything fast right now. We are just looking to be accurate and to follow the steps quickly. Okay, speed will come later. And we've got this end bit here. Well, and then if they get a little bit awkward, you can just kind of take your knife to knock down some of the bigger pieces. All right, there is our small dice onion. You kind of have to go through and fluff everything up to break apart the bits. But that is what we're working with when we're small dicing our onion. Okay, here's what I did not do. We notice that I did not come back through and be like, oh shoot, that doesn't look perfect. And start hacking away on it. That is not what we did, okay? There was no need to kind of come back through and do this. No, we followed those steps and we got really nice, even, consistent onion pieces, okay? So really important that you write down those steps and follow them exactly. If you make a cut through Hawaii and Panama and Central Africa, there's no way you can get back to this stage. So it's real important that you have good notes and you follow your steps exactly.